This is the Tri-State Area's news leader, Channel 7 Eyewitness News, with Bill Butel, Diana Williams, Scott Clark with sports, Sam Champion with the exclusive AccuWeather forecast, and the Eyewitness News team. Now, Eyewitness News.
Good evening, I'm Bill Butel. Tonight, more trouble for the New York City Police Department. It's cops arresting more cops. 2 officers are accused of shaking down Hasidic rabbis in Brooklyn, shaking them down for hundreds of dollars. It's another black mark for the NYPD, this one in the 66th precinct in Borough Park, Brooklyn. Celeste Ford is live with the story. Good evening, Celeste.
Good evening, Bill. The 2 officers were arrested late this afternoon right here at their precinct, the 66 in Borough Park. They're charged with shaking down rabbis for several $100s. And while this is another embarrassment for the police department, investigators say the good news is an honest cop turned in the bad guys. Tonight in Borough Park's close-knit Jewish community, residents are stunned. The police department says on 3 occasions, 2 officers extorted money from rabbis. Each time, the officers had just assisted in a religious procession through the streets. Internal Affairs says the shakedown went something like this.
We had provided a service for you. We expect to be paid this fee. And for future services of a similar nature, if you expect them, we would like to be paid for what we did today.
Sergeant Timothy Brovakis has 14 years on the force. Officer John Quercia is a 7-year veteran. Investigators say the cops confronted the rabbis June 18th and 26th and succeeded in extorting a total of $300, although they asked for several $100s more. A rabbi tipped off an officer at the 66th precinct. He told his commanding officer, prompting the investigation and marking a break in the traditional blue wall of silence.
The message is out there, very clear. We're not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. We're trying to prevail upon hardworking, decent police officers that you shouldn't tolerate this kind of behavior.
Residents spoke of their disgust.
I really think it's a shame. It's a shame. We pass here every day. I trust these guys. I put my faith in them. And then I just, and one scandal after another.
Police did not release the names of the rabbis who were described as distraught. The 2 cops were suspended. They faced dismissal and up to 3 years in prison if convicted of accepting unlawful gratuities. And we're live in Borough Park. Celeste Ford, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Celeste, there's another case of a cop going too far tonight. Eyewitness News has learned exclusively that a rookie cop in Englewood, New Jersey, has been fired for losing control and trashing a hotel room. David Navarro has more live tonight from Englewood. David?
Well, no, this is not Washington, D.C., and no, this is not about the NYPD. But over the weekend, what happened inside this Radisson hotel has some people making comparisons. Eyewitness News has learned an officer for the Englewood Police Department has been fired, and several other officers are being questioned after a bachelor party apparently got out of control. Englewood police officers didn't want to talk about it, and the chief made only a terse statement.
I told you, I said it's still under investigation. We haven't completed our internal affairs investigation.
But when pressed for more details, it was clear there would be no discussion. The tight-lipped responses revolve around an internal investigation into the behavior of several officers who attended a bachelor party Saturday night inside a Radisson hotel by Route 4. Details of what occurred are still unclear, but what we know so far is the hotel staff asked the people in the party to keep it down after some guests in the hotel complained about the noise. Instead, the party got louder and rowdier. When in all their fun a door was broken, the staff finally called in the police. Confronted by some of their own, the party finally calmed down, but it was already enough to start a police investigation. About the incident, the general manager of the hotel would only say there was an incident. I spoke with the police chief. He told me he would handle it, and that is the end of the story. And handle it he did. One officer is already paying the price for that party. Just weeks out of the academy, the probation officer has been fired. The mayor wouldn't say what the officer did to deserve dismissal, but indicated his behavior was unbecoming an officer.
It is not illegal to drink. It's illegal to get drunk. It is not illegal to have a party. It's illegal to be boisterous and to be rowdy.
The name of the dismissed officer has not been released.
There's an investigation pending, and I'm not going to comment today.
So far, there is nothing to indicate this is anything more than an internal disciplinary matter. But coming on the heels of what the New York Police Department has recently been through, it couldn't come at a worse time. Reporting live from Englewood, David Navarro, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Thank you, David. Investigators have more documents from the Unabomber to examine tonight. Both the New York Times and the Washington Post say they have received a 35,000-word manifesto from the Unabomber. He promises to stop his reign of terror if one of the papers prints it within the next 3 months. The Unabomber also said his threat to blow up a plane in Los Angeles was a hoax. But as a precaution, security is still tight at Los Angeles Airport, and postal officials in California still refuse to ship by air any package weighing 12 ounces or more. A baby born too early because of a mail bomb in Queens is doing fine tonight. Her mother, Stephanie Gaffney, opened a package bomb that blew up in her lap Tuesday. The shock of that sent her into premature labor. Police think the same person made this bomb and 3 others over the past few years, one of which killed a woman.
Harvey Weinstein faced death, but he survived. He was the victim of 3 kidnappers back in 1993, and he was in court in Lower Manhattan today to see his abductors sentenced. Weinstein was buried alive in a pit. He said then that he thought he would be released when they received $3 million ransom. Today, though, he believes differently.
I've come to recognize that had they succeeded and fled the country as they planned, today my corpse would still be in that pit.
Despite their pleas for mercy, the judge sentenced the 3 kidnappers to between 20 and 37 years in prison. Police officer Lou Cosentino says he received no mercy from 9 young men. They're accused of brutally beating him after he asked them to keep the noise down outside his home. Today, the officer took the stand in the attempted murder trial of 4 of the men. At times, choked by emotion, he described the beating and his injuries that required extensive reconstructive surgery.
Teenagers may be behind a rampage of hate on Long Island. Swastikas and words of bigotry were scrawled and sprayed on homes and fences in Lake Ronkonkoma. And tonight, Suffolk County Police say they found still more of the hate symbols. Nathan J. Burkett has our report.
The first thing neighbors noticed was the fence, the black spray paint, the racist words, and 14-inch swastikas. And then they noticed the hood of the Jeep, the side of the van, and the back of the pickup truck. There was the swastika in the street, on the garage, and on the house, where Laura Desch blinked back tears.
Why my house?
She heard teenagers laughing in the street late last night and thought nothing of it until she woke up this morning.
I'm not Jewish, I'm not black, I'm not racial, I'm not prejudiced against anybody, but why? What is the purpose of this?
I don't even think the people here are Jewish. I don't even know their name, but this is a damn disgrace.
Erwin Kurtak is Jewish and has lived in the neighborhood for more than 20 years.
They don't really know just what it is to be a Jew or to be colored. The true meaning of the real hatred of it.
Today's vandalism comes 24 hours after a similar but apparently unrelated incident in a schoolyard on the opposite end of the county. This afternoon, the county executive promised neighbors a full investigation as detectives went door to door.
We're going to flood the area. We're going to bring our command post in. We're going to do a neighborhood check. We're going to do as intensive an investigation on this as we would on a homicide.
The county's police commissioner predicted not only arrests, but jail time.
And the judge will feel the pressure, I think, to do what has to be done.
Police continued to move through the neighborhood early this evening. Detectives say bias cases are notoriously difficult to crack. Most of them, they say, are never solved. In Lake Ronkonkoma, Long Island, NJ Burkett, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
They don't know yet what the final cost of the damage will be, but it is expected to run into the tens of thousands of dollars.
The Supreme Court issued a landmark ruling today, making it illegal for states to redraw election districts according to race. Cynthia McKinney is only the 5th African-American voted to represent Georgia in Congress. Her district was redrawn to give African-Americans a 64% majority. The court ruled, though, that this kind of remapping is unconstitutional.
Republicans have put their stamp of approval on a plan to balance the budget in 7 years while cutting taxes at the same time. It's a budget outline, not an actual bill in this case, and it got virtually no Democratic support in votes today in both the House and the Senate. The plan does not require the president's signature, but Mr. Clinton says he will veto spending bills that obey this Republican outline.
And still ahead, a major blow for the prosecution in the O.J. Simpson trial. The defense gets a key report tossed out, and it could hurt the state's case. We are live in L.A. with the courtroom showdown.
Piece of pipe that can cause a lot of harm. This gun shoots potatoes. Bizarre details next. And to link up in space, former enemies and our partners in the heavens, the incredible pictures later on Eyewitness News.
Crunching and munching on ice, fun for some, but it can take its toll. Tomorrow on Eyewitness News this morning, the cold reality about ice chewing and tooth trouble. Tomorrow morning at 6, right here on Channel 7.
Judge Ito has imposed the harshest sanction yet in the O.J. Simpson trial, barring prosecutors from presenting important evidence. It's a report by the FBI agent Douglas Diedrich that closely ties carpet fibers on murder scene evidence to Simpson's Bronco. Meanwhile, prosecutors announced they will end their case with a motion. Their final witness will be Nicole Brown Simpson's mother. J.D. Dapper has more tonight, live from Los Angeles. J.D.?
Well, good evening, Diana. It seems as though the prosecution has made one blunder after another as it tries to wrap up its case. Today, it was a big mistake that cost them crucial circumstantial evidence.
This report, Your Honor, is entitled...
The jury will never know what is in this report. 5 pages written by FBI expert Doug Diedrich about the tan fibers found on the knit cap at the murder scene and on the glove at Simpson's estate.
This report tells me how relatively few Ford Bronco automobiles there could possibly be that would, registered in the county of Los Angeles, that would have this carpet fiber, this particular formula and this particular color. And that's very compelling circumstantial evidence.
The problem with this report, prosecutors never gave it to the defense in violation of state law. Johnny Cochran argued that was intentional and the proper punishment was to preclude Diedrich from testifying at all.
I'm going to cite you Ito on the law. Ito on the law in this case. And it says, if it comes to pass that their reports are conclusions which were reached and there was a deliberate manipulation of the process, there'll be preclusion. You said that. That's the relevant law in this courtroom.
If the court feels that we have been remiss, then I would urge the court to penalize us personally, or myself personally. But please don't penalize the proof of the case.
Ito decided to allow Diedrich on the stand, but threw his report out. So this afternoon, as the jury was shown electron microscope photos of carpet fiber cross-sections, Marcia Clark had to skate around what everybody but the jury now knows.
What type of fiber is this?
It's a nylon automotive fiber.
Okay.
Marcia wasn't quite sure what to ask next. When she finally did come up with a question, F. Lee Bailey objected, and the judge sent the jury home for the day. They'll try again tomorrow. Again, the prosecution promises to wrap up its case by the end of next week, and the last witness will be Nicole Brown's mother. Live in Los Angeles tonight, J.D. Dapper, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
Okay, J.D., thank you very much. Dozens of New York City workers are accused tonight of trying to beat the system, receiving welfare benefits, while at the same time collecting a paycheck from the city. The Manhattan DA says more than 70 workers tried to collect a double payoff. The workers, some of them pictured here, are employed by agencies ranging from the police department to the Board of Education. Police in New Jersey have run across a weapon they've never seen before. It's a spud gun. Cops in Carteret confiscated the potato launcher, really, from a 14-year-old boy after neighbors complained of hearing a strange noise. What they had heard was the thump of potatoes being launched for as much as 100 yards away.
That you shove a potato or any other similar object down this end, put a propellant in this end, and then you hit the spark igniter and it launches the potato or whatever else you've shoved down the barrel.
Police say, as funny as it might sound, the spud gun, the potato launcher, is no laughing matter. It packs a punch strong enough to cause very serious injury. The 14-year-old boy who made it promises he will not make another one.
As Scott would say, it's a tater. See you later.
Yeah, you got it.
Still ahead, an incredible event hundreds of miles above our heads. Americans and Russians shake hands after a delicate link-up in space. We've got the amazing pictures coming up next.
And will Elizabeth Hurley stand by her man? Hugh Grant's girlfriend issues a statement. Just ahead when we come back in a moment. They are together now, and they form the largest man-made spacecraft ever to circle the Earth. The shuttle Atlantis and Russia's Mir space station are locked together. They weigh in now at an awesome 500,000 pounds, all of it hurtling around the Earth after a very dramatic docking today.
Houston, we started the approach.
Even the slightest bump could have meant disaster. Robert Hoot Gibson brought his white space shuttle up under Mir. Both ships were traveling at 17,000 miles an hour, but the fastest they could approach one another was no more than 1 inch per second. Gibson locked his docking ring onto a similar 5-foot diameter aluminum ring on Mir. Gibson had spent 1 year practicing for that final step to success.
Houston, Atlantis, we have capture. Copy. Capture.
Then came the moment of celebration as the 10 cosmonauts and astronauts joined hands and hugged. It was the start of an unprecedented 5-day voyage as a single ship.
Houston, Atlantis, I think we're just about back with you.
In Houston, there was jubilation. You could hear the applause beaming out to space. And there were bear hugs in Kaliningrad near Moscow for a visitor from NASA.
This is bigger than just space. This is very important, and we'll learn how to work with the Russians, and the Russians will learn to work with us. And it's going to take years.
The rendezvous and docking are the first practice run for the construction of an international space station before the end of the century. Atlantis and Mir are expected to join together in 7 more dockings over the next 2 years. This union will end next Tuesday, and the shuttle will come back to Earth on the 7th of July.
And we were watching the American and the Russian spaceships who are hooking up in space, and they were going back and forth and kind of playing games with each other in space. And I said, well, I guess this really means the Cold War is over.
The Russian cosmonauts from Mir greeted the astronauts aboard Atlantis with salt and bread, which is a very Russian tradition.
Wow, incredible moment. It is difficult to say what kind of greeting Hugh Grant will get from his girlfriend Elizabeth Hurley, but tonight she has issued a statement in response to his arrest. Grant was charged with public lewdness after police found him having sex with a prostitute in his car in Los Angeles. His girlfriend, Elizabeth Hurley, says she's, quote, bewildered and saddened, and she says it's all very painful for her. She also says, quote, if members of the press could find it in their hearts to give me some time to think, I would be very grateful. Hopefully that will happen. Scott Clark is coming up next with sports. MSG President Dave Checketts is boiling hot tonight. He is furious. Pat Riley and the Miami Heat are the reason.
And is Darryl Strawberry ready to come back to the majors? We'll check out his action next. But first, here are tonight's winning New York lottery numbers, which were drawn earlier this evening.
And for those of you holding New Jersey tickets, here are your winning numbers. We'll be back.
The Knicks are putting some heat on the Heat. Scott Clark.
It's getting hot. It's getting ugly, Bill. Madison Square Garden President David Checketts says it may be the most blatant example of tampering he has seen in his 12 years in the NBA. It's about the Miami Heat and a $20 million deal for the former Knicks head coach Pat Riley, and it's getting ugly. Riley still had a year left on his contract with the Knicks when he walked away 2 weeks ago today. And while Checketts says the Heat never contacted the Knicks about dealing with Riley, there came this report from Miami's managing partner today, quote, that he has prepared a significant package for Riley. If he is the best candidate possible, and I believe he is, we will do what we have to do, end quote.
This is something you simply cannot have. I mean, there is contracts between teams and coaches, teams and players for a reason, and we won't sit by and allow people to make comments in the newspaper about the packages they're preparing or the negotiations they're having.
The maximum fine for tampering, $1 million, even maybe a loss of first-round picks. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, across the river, the Nets welcome their newest member to the club. You will find Ed O'Bannon with number 31 in your new Nets roster. The same number he wore at UCLA in leading the Bruins to the NCAA title. Ed O'Bannon.
What I want to bring is a positive attitude, a work ethic of hard work, someone who just loves to win and loves to play basketball.
I don't think the Nets know that game. Baseball. While the Yankees have a night of rest, the watch continues down South 4. Darryl, swing and a miss, strike 3. Darryl Strawberry faced 4 teenage pitchers today and pulled an 0 for 4 in the Yankees Rookie League game. Yanks say Strawberry will definitely not be coming up to the big club until the All-Star break is over at the earliest. Tonight in Minneapolis, Indians and Twins fans alike rooting for Eddie Murray. Came into the game just 3 hits short of 3,000 for his career. He hit safely in his first 2 trips, including that home run, but he went hitless in his final 4 at-bats. So Murray just 1 hit short of that 3,000 hit milestone. On the scoreboard, Boston beat Detroit earlier today. Seattle over Oakland. Toronto took care of the Orioles, and Milwaukee over Chicago. Chicago won 16-10, winning in the 9th. The Mets are also resting tonight So let's go to the board there. Cincinnati and Philadelphia sweep by the Reds. St. Louis over Chicago 6-4. At Wimbledon today, some big-name big boys bit the dust. Among them, number 11, Jim Courier, number 13, Stefan Edberg, and this man, 5th-seeded Michael Chang, duped by one Peter Korda. Grass has never been Michael Chang's favorite surface, and it showed. Chang goes down in straight sets on a day when the thermometer peaked at 102 degrees. Some just couldn't take the heat. Some could. He was to be just like Agassi. Andre Agassi, the top-seeded Andre Agassi, who swept past Patrick McEnroe 6-1, 6-1, 6-3, so that he could retire to the cool comforts of his guest, his companion, his lover, Brooke Shields, ladies and gentlemen. In golf, it's the U.S. Open, senior style. We take you to Congressional Country Club, Bethesda, Maryland, and here's a real ringer. Larry Ringer fired a 68. Who would have thunk it? He shares a one-stroke lead with J.C. Snead, and then there is the king. Arnold Palmer, 17th hole, shot of the day, came this close to eagle. Arnie, he stands at even par. He's 4 strokes back. I'm Scott Clark. That's it for sports, folks.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you, Scotty. It's been a gorgeous day outside. Can we expect more, though, for this holiday weekend?
Sam will be along with his exclusive answer and the AccuWeather forecast in a moment.
Eyewitness News.
I'm Ted Koppel. Coming up on Nightline, flag burning, redistricting, affirmative action, immigration. It looks like a conservative steamroller, but appearances may be deceiving tonight.
Sam has put a great deal of thought into this weather forecast tonight, right, Sam?
They don't come much better this summer anyway than they did today. Beautiful day, 82 degrees, the high temperature, and we finally got it right. But I don't think we'll be able to keep it throughout the weekend. Let's just see how much good weather we can get in here in the next 4 or 5 days. 66 degrees outside right now. Relative humidity at 81%, the barometer steady at this point. Still high pressure with us, but it starts to leave the region tomorrow and allow some clouds to get in here. South winds at about 10 miles per hour, 82 degrees again, 3:15 this afternoon, the best number of the day. 57 degrees where we started earlier this morning. Other numbers around town would include 62 degrees in the northern corner to 64 all the way out toward the end of the island. We will tell you, but you already know, that this has been a very cool month for us, but we thought we'd stack it up with stats. Of the 29 days so far, 12 have been cooler than normal, and most of those by more than 4 degrees cooler than the average number for the day. By the way, we'd expect to see about 83 degrees this time of year for high temperature. Satellite picture showing the clouds still holding back off to the west, but more and more are beginning to come up the coastline and slide in here, a sign that this high pressure that kept us in good-looking skies for the past 2 days is weakening a bit as it moves offshore. That's going to allow some low clouds in here, particularly along the coastline early in the morning, and also some fog to develop out on the island. There will be some cases of visibility less than a quarter mile, so if you're driving early in the morning, be aware that that's a possibility. During the day tomorrow, though we think most of the day is dry, there will be sunshine trying to make it out between some clouds. It'll be successful in the afternoon, but also know there could be some showers in the leading edge of all this moisture that moves in for Saturday. Saturday is a very unstable day for us. Could get showers or thunder showers at any time, but it does look like the weekend improves by the time you get to Sunday afternoon and continues throughout the rest of the holiday weekend. 64 degrees, that's the early morning start. 60 out toward the end of the island. 57, 58 degrees, that kind of thing north and west of town. Sunrise is at 5:27, and again, we think there's low clouds toward the coastline and even some fog in that direction as well. 80 degrees is the warm number. Remember, this is a 4-day weekend. We would give it 4 stars if it were a perfect weekend. It really isn't anywhere, but starting Sunday afternoon, we think most places pull out and manage to deliver a nice-looking Sunday evening, also Monday, and probably a good-looking Tuesday. Best fireworks nights, Sunday night, and it looks like Monday night as well. 64 degrees, clouds and sunshine at 7 o'clock in the morning. AccuWeather says 80 degrees, clouds and more sun. It's a bit more humid than it has been, and that takes us right into the 5-day plan with scattered thunder showers or showers at any time on Saturday, but improving weather picture by the time you get to Sunday.
Okay, Sam, thank you very much. Still ahead, all jazzed up tonight in Midtown.
The music under the stars coming up next.
For a moment, looking ahead to tomorrow, the 30th of June, the Base Closings Commission delivers its recommendations to President Clinton for his final approval. Contestants paddle for the grand prize in the National Concrete Canoe Competition. We'll watch that. The Coast Guard honors the man who's been the Coney Island lighthouse keeper for the past 35 years. And Eyewitness News returns at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I think that's a sink or swim competition.
I think that may be right.
Finally, great music and all of that jazz under the stars tonight in Midtown. Award-winning jazz pianist Marcus Roberts wowed the crowd with his rendition of the George Gershwin classic Rhapsody in Blue. He performed at a free concert in Bryant Park with the Orchestra of St. Luke's.
One of the great American jazz pieces, Rhapsody in Blue.
Beautiful. That's the news for now. I'm Diana Williams.
Nightline is next with a look at the nation's move to the right. For Diane and Sam and Scott, all of us at Eyewitness News, I'm Bill Butel. Thank you so very much for being with us this evening. Till tomorrow, good luck, be well, good night.
Good night.